Hello, everyone. Have you ever felt like you've met the perfect person? As if it was an instant connection? Someone you could spend all day and all night talking to, revealing every single dream, hope, and even your fears to? I met that person once, and it wasn't as perfect as it seemed at first. In that relationship, I had to constantly choose between my happiness and theirs. And in that process, I was never the priority. Now you must be wondering, if I was suffering so much, then why didn't I just end the relationship? And maybe I should have, except I couldn't, because they were my best friend. This whole time, you must have thought I was talking about a romantic partner. And that's one of the biggest problems: toxic relationships. As soon as one hears that term, they immediately think of a romantic relationship. When in reality, toxic relationships could be with anyone in your life, including your best friends, your family members, or any relationship that you deem central to your lives. According to the magazine Health Scope, toxic relationship is characterized by behaviors on the part of a toxic partner that are emotionally damaging to their partner. While a healthy relationship contributes to our overall happiness and self-esteem, a toxic relationship takes it away. Today, I would like to focus specifically on friendships. Friendships are so important, especially in college, as they become central to an individual's core identity and support network. When I tried to find a statistic on how common it is for people to report a toxic friendship, I wasn't able to find much on it. And I think the reason for that is toxic friendships are just not labeled as a toxic relationship. On the other hand, toxic romantic relationships are so heavily discussed in our society that we are much more aware of their signs, and therefore much more likely to know when to step away. According to Psychology Today, some of the biggest signs of a toxic relationship are the imbalance in the time spent, the display of manipulative tendencies, and consequently, the buildup of stress due to the relationship. The biggest sign is the imbalance in the time spent. Every conversation feels as if it's about them. And it's really hard to express your own thoughts and your own feelings. I believe that it's extremely important to support your loved ones, especially in the times of their need. But that support can only come after you have given yourself the time and the support. So you're giving yourself the time and the support. The second sign that is much more harder to detect is manipulative tendencies. One of the most common examples of manipulative tendencies is victimhood. Victimhood is just how it sounds. Playing the victim in every situation in order to gain sympathy and attention. A pop culture example of manipulative tendencies that we often don't realize is illustrated in the movie Mean Girls. For those of you who have never watched the movie, it's based on high school cliques and their damaging impacts on students. The movie not only depicts a high school drama, but it also portrays manipulation in two different ways. The first one is obvious, as Regina, the queen bee, dictates how everyone needs to act and dress. But then there's Katie, a seemingly innocently sweet girl, who we often tend to forget when it comes to manipulation. To take revenge on Regina, Katie begins to manipulate and tamper with Regina's life to such a high extent that in the end, she becomes exactly like Regina. But as an audience, most of us don't see Katie as the bully. And although a lot of us may remember this movie as a hilarious comedy, which it was, it also teaches us important lessons about manipulation and how difficult it is for us to recognize it sometimes. The last sign is the presence of stress that comes from the relationship. I remember feeling so concerned about wanting to take care of my friend that the buildup of stress that came from this relationship affected my life very negatively. I remember this one night that I would never forget for the rest of my life. My friend was very impulsive, and one night, in the middle of the night, she ran out into the streets. When I chased after her, I found her lying right in the middle of the street. As I tried to convince her to get up, she kept telling me that it's okay and that I should lay down right next to her. In my attempts to protect her from herself, both of us almost got run over. And that was my moment of revelation. It was in that moment that I knew that I was trying to be there for someone, to help someone that just couldn't be helped by me alone. And it was because of that moment that I learned that I needed to walk away. And when I did, it was one of the hardest things that I had ever done, because it was the first time that I walked away from someone who meant so much to me. But sometimes, ending the relationship isn't the easiest thing to do, especially when it comes to family members, coworkers, or even friends that you feel are too valuable for you to just let go of. In that case, there are a couple of things you can do in order to maintain a healthy relationship. And they include placing boundaries and being assertive. Now, I know these sound like pretty easy solutions, because when we think of doing them with strangers, they're pretty easy. But when it comes to our loved ones, although they're extremely difficult, they're very necessary as well. In my case, I should have started with boundaries. Every time they called me in the middle of the night to talk or to spend the night, I should have said no, to take that time to take care of myself. My time and energy could have been spent in a more balanced manner if I allocated her a specific time to me during the week. Also, in all of our interactions, I never felt like I could communicate myself to her. And that's why I should have been assertive. I was too scared of saying no to her and hurting her feelings. And I think that's the problem a lot of us struggle with, being able to say no. We don't like saying no to the people we love, because it feels as if we're being selfish. But we're being honest. We are being honest to ourselves by prioritizing the things that will make us truly happy and contribute to our overall well-being. But if the relationship still feels overburdening, even after you have tried everything, then the best thing to do is to walk away. I was able to walk away only after I realized my own self-worth and how much more in control of my life I could be in if I just cared a little bit more about myself. But sometimes, walking away isn't even the hardest part. The hardest part is maintaining that distance. And that's because it's really easy to fall back into the same patterns of an old relationship because of the strong emotional connection that was once there. In the end, I don't believe that my friend had any malicious intents, but she was able to hurt me in so many ways that a stranger never could. So for those of you who haven't had an experience exactly like mine, but are starting to see some of these signs in yourself, then begin to identify them and realize that even with the best intentions, we can sometimes end up hurting the people that we never meant to in the first place. After I was finally able to let go of my relationship, I felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off of me. But that's also when I recognized how valuable my other friends were. The ones who were always positive and encouraging. And that's when I realized that I should not only be aware of the signs of a toxic relationship, but also those of a healthy one. A good relationship is one in which the expected outcome is love and kindness, and not a utility. According to Aristotle, he mentions in a book, Nicomachean Ethics, that true friendship is based on goodness. Goodness where both of the individuals admire each other's goodness and also strive to help each other reach that level of goodness. My experiences with the relationships in my life are the reason why I'm able to create more meaningful relationships now, and not only appreciate myself and my friends, but also those relationships that help me be me. And so today, I would like to encourage you guys to really evaluate your life and be able to eliminate whatever obstacles or whatever relationships that you feel are coming in between your goals. And not only be able to do that, but to go out and be grateful and appreciate those that are with you in your life right now, making you happy. So at the end today, that's all I want you guys to do. Just look at someone that loves you and just tell them how much you're grateful that they're in your life.